All right, now I really want to focus on a very important aspect of our power, and that's the leg drive. What do we do with our legs to create maximum power? Okay, we understand we've got gravity already giving us that assistance. We've got a momentum starting as we start to move our body. Now we're going to really add to it with our leg drive. The stronger the leg, the more powerful the leg, the more we can accelerate our body, which translates into increasing our momentum. Okay, so there's two aspects I want to really focus on: leverage and stride length. Okay, both of those aspects are very, very important in creating more momentum, which translates into more power. So first I want to think about is I want to think about getting away or separation from the rubber. Okay, I'm going to use one of my subjects to really illustrate that point. All right, before we start on describing the leverage and the stride length, I'd like to introduce you to Mike Grace. Mike played 3+ years with the Philadelphia Phillies, and he has a lot of the attributes that scouts look for. You can see he's quite a bit taller than I am, right? So he has longer levers. His forearm's bigger than mine. His arm's bigger than mine. So he's got a lot of things that scouts will look for. Okay, so we're going to really focus on things that we can add to those already genetic qualities. First thing we're going to do is talk about the leverage. All right, so what I'm going to have Mike do is pick his leg up and get into a quote-unquote balance point. So now he's in this position. Now I'm literally going to take my finger and I'm going to ask Mike to drive and move me out of the way. Go on, push. Drive. Drive. You see, there's not a whole lot there. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take Mike to the same position. Go ahead, pick your leg up. Now I'm going to let him come forward towards me. Come on, I'll hold you. Now he's in a different position. Okay, as you can see, he's already started hard. Now try to drive against me. Okay, now he's starting to move me. Okay, so he has a much better leverage position from this point. Understand, once the rubber's back here, my hips have come forward. I now have this angle right here where I can generate power laterally toward home plate. In this position, as you saw, he had no leverage whatsoever. So I want to be able to get him into a position where he can fully utilize those legs. Now I'm going to talk about another aspect of stride length and the importance of it. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a subject, Mike, again, and I'm going to take my foot and I'm going to step right between his 2 feet. Actually, shorten up your stance a little bit. Okay, I'm going to take my foot, and I'm about 6 inches away from him, and I'm going to step into the gap between his 2 feet. I want you to close your eyes, and I want you to tell me what you feel when my foot hits the ground. You ready? Okay, what did you feel?
Not much.
Not much. Okay? So we're going to take that same, I'm going to stay in the same position. Now I'm going to move 6 inches further and step to the other foot. Close your eyes and tell me what you're going to feel. What'd you feel?
A lot of force.
A lot of force. We saw a major difference. Okay, and what that is momentum. So understand, the further we get away from the rubber, the longer the stride, the more opportunity we have to create momentum. What we want to be able to do is take the maximum stride where we can create the most power we can and still be effective within the strike zone, so I'm not throwing everything high. There's things that we can do to adjust to get the ball going downhill, utilizing the slope to maximize our power and our stride length. Now we have all of these attributes. We've got gravity, we've got momentum, we've got leg drive where we can use a lot of leverage off of the mound, and we have a long stride length to create momentum. Now what we want to do is piece all these together and make it as efficient and as clean as we can, and that's where we're going to try to stay on that target line, stay on the drive line, where my direction is very, very important. So I'm going to describe the target line and help you understand where I get the target line from. Now, the target line is not just an arbitrary line. It really has a purpose. So what I want to do is I want to take this bone where my big toe meets my foot. There's a big bone that sticks out there, and I'm going to take my heel, and I'm going to put it right on that bone. Okay? And from that position there, I'm going to take a step back, look at my target, and I'm going to draw a line in the direction of my target. So I stand back and, yep, it's right on line. So what I want to do is give you the physical aspect of why this line is where it is. Why did I choose that point of my foot? So as you're going to see, my heel is on that toe, and then what it's going to do is as I rotate my hips through, you see there's just enough clearance for me to get my hips through. So there's nothing impeding it. I'm going from point A to point B. Conversely, if I were to stand here and land on this way, as I rotate my hips, now I'm blocking my hip out with my front leg. My foot has to come out and around. Now my body has to make an unnecessary adjustment. Likewise, if I step over on this side of the line, you can already see that my hips are already starting to slightly open. So now there's going to be a loss in power and a loss in direction where it's going to affect my control as well. So we want to stay as close to that target line as we can for the power aspect of it. So once again, I'm back here on my heel, rotating my hips through. Now there's nothing stopping me from throwing this ball home. Once again, another important aspect, we're trying to align all of these forces that we have, minimize our effort to maximize our potential. So what we want to do is we want to bring in another aspect of it, and that's our flexibility. What is our range of motion for our shoulder? It's very, very important that we get in a position where we can externally rotate and what I call get to zero level, where our arm is literally in parallel with the ground. The further we get back into this position, the more potential we have to create torque in our shoulder. And when that position here, now when we decide to release the ball, it's actually going to spring forward, resulting in sort of a catapult effect to really help us accelerate the ball. So the more range of motion, the more flexibility we have to get into this position, the better potential we have to accelerate the ball. When we get into this external rotation and we have the flexibility to do it, we're not going to do it from a standstill position. I mean, I can get back there because I've been doing it for so long, but a lot of people are about right in here. What's going to happen is as these forces come and as these generate power and momentum, they're literally going to force us or drive us back with torque into that position. So what's important is where am I when I'm actually throwing the baseball, not when I'm standing still. I want to talk about the genetics portion of this program. As you can see, plainly see, he's a lot better built for speed than I am. Okay, he's got obviously longer levers with his arm. Look at his arm is a good 3 inches longer than my forearm. He's got 5 inches more on me. He's going to get a bigger, longer stride, create more and more leverage and more power, more momentum. So he's better built for power than I am. So we're going to use these genetic attributes that he has, why scouts love guys like this guy, and we're going to add that to what we've already created and try to maximize our power. Now, as you can understand, there's things that we can't see intrinsically. We can't see his muscles. Now, inside our body, we have a couple types of fibers, and those are fast twitch and slow twitch. And so the guys who have really, really fast twitch are guys who can really accelerate in a short burst versus guys who can't, or like a marathon runner can't out-sprint a sprinter. So what we want to do is we want to really focus and utilize his physical attributes that are genetically involved and intrinsically see how we can recruit some of those fast twitch fibers so he can really create this amount of power quickly. Now, he was a power pitcher, and I was more of a finesse control pitcher. Now, we got guys who actually can throw hard as well that are my size, but again, they're using all of these attributes that we're trying and put them together, because now we have to be able to use all of this power and still maintain control in the strike zone. And there's some guys like Roy Olswalt and Lincecum that are doing it very, very well, that are opening our eyes to watch their mechanics, say, how can this guy who's 6 foot, 180 pounds, throw the ball consistently 95, 96 miles an hour? Those are the guys we really, really want to pay attention to, because they're doing something that most of us aren't doing, that we really, really help them create more power. So my game was more of a control and deception. I played 12 years or 11 years doing that. I was able to compete at that high level. Well, Mike also competed at that high level as well from using his aspect of power. Now, we're going to take all of these things that we mentioned with gravity, momentum, and leg drive, and direction, and we're going to really bring them all in together and utilize it. How can I take all of these and maximize it? And that's what we want to talk about is efficiency. Efficiency is being able to take all these attributes and direct it in the line or in the direction of which I'm going to be making my pitch, where I'm not going to have to make any adjustments on the way to home plate. So what I want to do is I want to make sure that everything's on that line, and so I'm not having to make any corrections because the body will correct. If my target line is here, and I step 6 inches on the inside, my eyes see that I'm going off target. There's no question. I'm getting that kind of feedback. So it's too late for my foot to make the adjustment. So you're going to see your body end up in this position right here where my head is literally trying to get back to that center line because it sees that it's offline. Now, we're very adaptive beings. We can do anything we want. I could throw from here or here and do it long enough and be effective with it. What I want to do is try to maximize this as efficient as I can so I don't have to make any corrections, and I can take all this energy and funnel it in the direction to my target. Simple way to think about this is efficiency will be that we don't have to make any extra move that's going to cost us time or effort. And we're going to lose any kind of effort. We want to take all this energy and maximize it so we don't make any adjustments, so we can repeat this over and over and over so we can get further into the game without feeling fatigued.
Again, at foot touch, we're going to examine another important factor when we're dealing with power. What we want to do is maximize our arm speed to create more power. And we're going to do that through a series of levers that create torque. I call this my slamming the door analogy, and I'm going to have Matt help illustrate that. First, I'm going to explain what I mean by slamming the door. If we were to take a door and open it up about 12 inches, and then I ask you to get behind that door and slam it as hard as you can. Okay, that's the first door we're going to slam. The second door is I'm going to take the door, I'm going to open it up all the way to the end, and I'm going to ask you to slam the door. Now I'm going to say which one was a more powerful slam. Well, obviously the second was, because what happens is, the longer the lever, the motor arm, the faster that travels, and the further distance it travels, the more torque I can build up. Well, how does that relate to pitching? Here's where Matt comes in. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get Matt into the position where his elbow is no longer inside, his hand is no longer inside his elbow, it's actually above his elbow. So once it's in this position, and I move it back, slam the first door, I only get about 6 inches of travel. Okay? So now I'm going to ask him to slam the second door where the hand is actually below the elbow, or level with the elbow, and now we can do the same thing. Now his arm is traveling almost 2 feet. So now, the faster this moves, the more it moves, the more torque we build up into that shoulder, which is going to translate into velocity.